If you're heading to Rome, you may be trying to figure out where to stay, where to base from in the city of Rome. That's a huge decision. It will have the biggest impact on your time in Rome. About 2 years ago, I did a video of the top places to base from when in Rome. That video had over 300,000 views. Why? Because that video was super helpful. But here it is. 2 years later, I know a lot more now than I did then. This video that I'm going to share with you is about the top places to stay when you're in Rome, rated from my least favorite to my most favorite. This video is going to be super helpful and somewhat entertaining. I've got lots to share with you. Let's get started. My goal with this video is to make it the most informative where to stay in Rome video available on YouTube. Before we get started, I thought it would be a good idea to give a quick orientation. Here is the Termini train station where most people enter the city. Just below it is La Basilica di Santa Maria Maggiore. Down here is the Monte area to the Colosseum. You've got the Roman Forum right here, Circus Maximus. Over here you got Tiber Island. Over here you have the, what is this? The Jewish Quarter, the Trastevere neighborhood. This center here, this is where Largo Argentina is at. Just out here is Campo de Fiori. Over here is Piazza Navona. This is the Pantheon. Out this direction, you got Castel Sant'Angelo, Vatican City, Piazza del Popolo, Trevi Fountain, the Spanish Steps, and you kind of get the point. That's kind of the sites you came to see in Rome. Now let's talk about where to stay when you're in Rome. Of the 10 most popular areas in Rome, our least favorite is the area of Termini. That's this area down here. It's also known as Esquilino. This is the area down here as we get close to the train station. Now, having said that, if you're only going to be in Rome for one day, it makes a lot of sense just to stay near the train station. Don't waste your time trying to find an interior, hotel or Airbnb or whatever. Just stay near Termini. You're only going to be there for one night. And it just makes a lot of sense. It's the hub of transportation, lots of buses. You can hit the metro, both A and B line are here. And there's lots of good things to do, see, and eat near Termini. Most of it is going to be elsewhere. I'll let me show you here. You probably came to Rome to see this. Now this is the Termini, and these are the major sites of Rome. So most of the sites are going to be to the west of Termini train station, meaning you're going to need to take the bus or the metro. It's not a real walkable area. You can walk, but it's just not super convenient. It's like the hub. The things aren't all around you. It's mostly out to the west. Kind of gives you a visual of the sites you came to see are going to be a little bit far away from you in the Termini area. But again, if I'm going to stay near Termini, I would probably recommend staying up in this upper end over here. This down here, this is La Basilica di Santa Maria Maggiore is right down here. This is one of the major basilicas. And as soon as you cross this area, now you're into the Monti area. The Monti area is actually very close to Termini, but it changes quite a bit. As soon as you move away from the station, even 2 or 3 blocks, it starts to improve drastically. So what I would say is I would probably recommend staying up in this end over down on this end over here. It just gets a little more shady, a little more sketchy, especially at nighttime. So for what it's worth, that's what I'd say about Termini. Avoid it if you're going to be in Rome for multiple days. But again, don't fear it if you're just there for one night. Enjoy the city and have fun. But of the 10 places, this comes in last. So before we leave the Esquilino area, there are a few sites you're going to want to see. Even if you're not staying in the area, it's definitely worth a trip over here to take a look at some of these sites. The first is La Basilica di Santa Maria Maggiore. Let's zoom in here. It's right down here. The next site, let's zoom out a bit so you can get some perspective. Here's the Termini train station. Just out in front of Termini station is La Piazza della Repubblica with one of my favorite fountains called the Fountain of the Naiads right down here. Right out in front of the fountain. There's used to be the Baths of Diocletian right here. Back in the 16th century, Michelangelo helped design the old ruins into what is today one of the most beautiful basilicas called La Basilica di Santa Maria degli Angeli. Absolutely stunning, worth your time. One of my favorite churches in all of Rome. Definitely swing in. It's fantastic. One last place, if you're hungry. I know this is a sights, but there's also, it's not just sights, it's food in Rome. One of my favorite pizzerias in all of Rome, not just this area. It's right over here in this neighborhood, not very far walk from the Basilica, is Pinsetta, a great pizzeria. Buongiorno.
La mia favorita è cipolla e nduria, spicy salami, red onion. But if you want to try our best, where is the camera? This one is our best. Pumpkin sauce, provola cheese and bacon.
Coming in at number 10, it's not a bad area, it's just not my favorite area. It is the area of Trevi Fountain, right down here. Let's zoom in. The fountain itself is magic, absolutely magnificent. I just find the area to be a little bit too crowded, a little bit too chaotic, all day, all night, kind of hard to unwind. I think there are better areas to base from. You definitely want to visit the fountain while you're in Rome. I just don't think basing right here in the area is ideal. Many of the restaurants cater to tourists, not to Romans. They're a little bit pricier. Not that the food's bad, there's some good food in the area. In fact, one of my favorite restaurants is right around the corner from Trevi Fountain. It's right over here called Pane e Salame. But outside of that, I really haven't found a lot of great restaurants that I frequent. So Trevi Fountain, just because of the crowds and the chaos and the noise, it's probably not my ideal place to base from, but there are some good things about it. Let me show you on a map here. If you're staying in the Trevi area, as you can see, it's pretty walkable to most of the sites of Rome that you came to see. Up here, being kind of on the far end, is Piazza del Popolo. Here you've got the Spanish Steps. Again, you've got the Vatican City, which is probably about a 20-minute walk, Castel Sant'Angelo. Down here, you've got the Colosseum, but most of the sites are, I would say, within a 20-minute or less walk from the Trevi Fountain area, many of them being much closer than that. So it is pretty centrally located. And then one more thing I want to point out. This is the fountain here. Let's zoom out a little bit. Just over here, maybe this is probably a 7 or 8 minute walk over to Piazza Barberini. This is where you're going to find the metro, the A-line metro, so you can head off to other areas, back to Termini train station, out to the Colosseum, over to the Vatican, wherever the metro connects, you can hop on right here, making it super convenient as far as that goes. In my opinion, there are better areas, but by no means is the Trevi Fountain area a bad area to stay in. Not far from Trevi Fountain is the next area we're going to talk about. Let's zoom out here a little bit. We're going to head over to the Spanish Steps, just a little bit north. Maybe a 10-minute walk at most from Trevi Fountain are the Spanish Steps. The Spanish Steps are absolutely beautiful, and the area itself is very clean, very high-end. In fact, along Via Condotti is where you're going to find many of the high-end shops, Gucci, Prada, and all that stuff right along Via Condotti. The area, however, is packed with tourists, packed with people. It's just a little bit too chaotic, similar to Trevi. That's why I did not put it very high on my list. Not because it's not beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's fairly well connected. Let me show you. We go to this other map. This is where Trevi Fountain, or not Trevi Fountain, this is where the Spanish Steps are. And again, as you go out, most of these sites that you came to see are going to be to the south. Piazza del Popolo right up here. You got Vatican out here again. Down over here is the Trastevere area, just to put that in perspective. Over here is the Largo Argentina, the Campo de Fiori, and the Monti area, Colosseum's just up on this direction here. But one thing I do want to point out, which I really love about the Spanish Steps, is right here where it says the Spania M. That is a metro station, basically right at the Spanish Steps. It's the A line. From there you can easily head over to Vatican City, head over to Termini train station, and so many other places. So as far as central, it's central enough by walking, plus it has the advantage of having a metro station. If it wasn't for the crowds, I would rate this area much higher, and there's just not a lot of really affordable dining options in the area. There are certainly some, but just not a ton. One more thing I want to point out is it also is pretty close to Villa Borghese, the big park right up here. And so much, I love this park, so that's why I bring it up, showing you the proximity of it, because the park is just awesome. Let me tell you a quick story. I was in Rome, and we were walking from one Airbnb to another, about 100 meters or so along the cobblestone streets of Rome. I had a big bag, it weighed about 50 pounds, and as I'm walking, the wheel snapped off, and it was kind of a headache. I had to replace that bag. It made no sense continuing on with that bag. It was just awkward with 3 wheels, making it almost impossible to move down the street. And so I ended up having to replace that bag. And when I got back, I started looking for bags with good wheels. And I stumbled across a company called Level 8, known for its wheels, known for its design. And I was a little surprised there. The design of the bags are fantastic. Real quick, let me show you a couple things I really like about these bags. I mentioned the style, I think they're awesome. The durability, the quality build is awesome. And I love the top loading feature. The ability to stick all your clothes in there, and then at the very top of the bag, throw your computer, other things you may need access to on the go, making it super easy and convenient to access them. Other bags that I've used in the past are more like a binder where you open them up and half the things fall out, and it's not super convenient to grab things within the bag when you're on the go. On the other hand, this bag makes it super easy, super convenient, and I really appreciate that. They're sleek looking, they're minimalist looking, but most importantly, they're very durable. They've got great wheels, and if you're going to be traveling, whether it's to Italy, Rome, or to anywhere else, I highly recommend, if you're looking for a travel bag, look into Level 8 suitcases. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Not only are Level 8 suitcases awesome, they have a great offer for you. I'm going to put a discount code in the description of this video where you can save 10% off any purchase. I want to thank Level 8 for helping make this video possible. Just west of the Spanish Steps is our next area. It's the area of Piazza del Popolo. We're gonna head up this road here, and this is Piazza del Popolo. Now, if you're gonna stay in the area of Piazza del Popolo, the area you wanna stay at is really the area between the Spanish Steps up here and Piazza del Popolo, right in this area here. There are so many wonderful restaurants, boutique shops. It's super clean, lots of alleyways to walk down and interesting streets. It's just gorgeous. Just above Piazza del Popolo, there's a terrace up here called the Passeggiata del Pincio. From this terrace, you get great views of the Vatican. There's always people up there. Usually a street performers up there creating a great atmosphere. Just a fun place to go. It's just 200-300 feet above the square, giving you great views. Within the park, there's a small lake where you can rent boats, and it's not a small lake, but it's super picturesque. You can rent out a boat, get some great pictures. There's even a zoo, but one of my favorite things to do in the park is just to rent the little buggies. These are 2-person and 4-person buggies. They're pedal powered, but they're also electric, kind of like e-buggies. So they'll take you through the park. You can go explore the entire thing. It costs around 15 or 20 euros, depending on the size of buggy you get, but it's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend you do it. That was one of my highlights of the park. But again, there's a lot of other things in the park, including the Villa Borghese Gallery. Before we leave the Piazza del Popolo area, there are a couple of things I want to point out. Just over here, on this side of the square, there's a metro station, the Flaminio metro station. It's on the A line, making it super easy to get around. This area is not as walkable as other areas. Most of the things you're going to be wanting to see are out here to your west. So, for example, just walking from Piazza del Popolo all the way down to right down here is the Victor Emmanuel Monument. That's a lot further than it looks. It takes a good 25 minutes to walk down there. It's probably a mile, mile and a half, 2 kilometers at least. So yeah, it's a great, beautiful walk. It's just a little bit far. And so walking from Piazza del Popolo, you know, while there are certain things in the area that are great, easy to walk to, you're going to be probably relying on the buses, the metro, and other forms of transportation, such as taxis, to get around. But while you're in the area, when you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, when you come home at night, lots to see and do in the area. One more thing, this Mausoleum of Augustus, this right here, this is a site that's kind of been under construction for quite a while. It's been open and shut over the years. Well, it's getting ready to reopen. They've done a huge renovation on it, and that will be open up later in 2026. If you're interested in staying in an upscale Roman neighborhood, a residential area that's not overrun with people, but yet is close enough to many of the sites, the area that I'm going to talk about next may be perfect for you. It is the neighborhood of Ludovisi. Ludovisi is really not too far from the Termini train station. It's just near Villa Borghese that we talked about earlier. If you zoom in here, this is Piazza Barberini. Well, this is kind of the edge of the Ludovisi neighborhood. Everything north of this, up in this direction, is the Ludovisi area. It was made famous with the movie La Dolce Vita. I don't know when that came out, 50s or 60s or something like that. The street that is most famous is the Via Veneto right here. It's a tree-lined street that runs through Rome. Absolutely gorgeous, lots of nice shops and restaurants, trattorias and bars and all kinds of nice things to eat along the way there and see and buy and all that stuff. But yet it's quiet enough to where it's not overrun with people because there aren't really any specific sites within the area other than this main road. But if you just drop down here to the metro station, then you can access the metro, access most of Rome via the metro, and there are a few sites that are relatively close to walk to. For one, Villa Borghese is just over here, so you can walk to the park, very easy access to Villa Borghese. Number two, you can walk down to the Trevi Fountain without too much problem. It's just maybe depending where you're at in the neighborhood, no more than a 10-minute walk or so to Trevi Fountain and also the Spanish Steps. You are going to be reliant somewhat on transportation, whether that's the metro, a taxi, you know, or a bus. But overall, it's a great area, especially if you're looking for something a little bit more upscale and not so crowded.
Your attention, please. Our next station stop will be Woodstock in approximately 10 minutes.
The next location you may want to stay in is also a residential area. It's a newer residential area, relatively, and it's located over by Vatican City. This is the area of Prati. Let's zoom in here. See this area down here? This whole area is Prati. In a past video, I was a little bit hard on the Prati area. I stayed here. I didn't have a great experience. The metro shut down. I was on this end over here, and everything was pretty far. We ended up walking 25,000 steps a day to get around. So it was kind of a headache. But recently, we went back to the Prati area, stayed closer to Castel Sant'Angelo near the river, and had a fantastic time. In the area, it's super easy to walk over to Castel Sant'Angelo. Additionally, obviously, you can walk to St. Peter's Basilica. Another great thing to do while you're in the area, there's a brand new, it's a recently renovated square called Piazza Pia right down here at the end. A lot of atmosphere, fun place to just chill and hang out. Also, a quick walk from here. We just talked about the Piazza del Popolo area. If you're staying here in the Prati area, accessing Piazza del Popolo is pretty simple. You can hop on the metro, one stop, or you can just simply walk across the river and make your way over to Piazza del Popolo. And then even Villa Borghese is not awfully far. If you're looking for the local vibe, a clean neighborhood, a safe neighborhood, Prati is perfect. It has wider streets. it's just a really good area to be in. The only negative I would say, it's not quite as walkable as many areas. Let me show you. If I go to another map, if I look at the map here, this is kind of an idea of walking. Now this is of course if you're staying over here, but if you're staying down here, it's much closer. Most of the sites are obviously be across the Tiber River. You know, it's not too hard walking, but you know, you can always walk down and then hop on the metro and make your way back. So that makes it nice. You only have to walk one way. But that kind of gives you an idea. One last thing I want to mention about the Prati area. There were a few too many touristy, you know, shops selling knickknacks from the Vatican and whatnot. Strictly tourist shops, not into those. But there's tons of nice restaurants, lots of great pizzerias, all kinds of great food in the Prati area can be found. So it's a great place to base from, and it's safe and clean and all the rest. So there you go. That's Prati. Up from my last review, from like 9th place to, I think this is 6th. Making its way up to the top. I don't know if we'll ever get to the top, but it's making its way up regardless. As we're getting closer to my favorite places to stay in Rome, the next place is Piazza Navona. Just to give you a quick overview, here is a satellite view. Here's the train station on this end. Down over here, you've got the Colosseum. Over here, you have Vatican City. And up on this end, you have Piazza del Popolo. Well, kind of in the middle is Piazza Navona. Piazza Navona is a beautiful square, and it's great in the evenings. Lots of people watching, beautiful fountains, beautiful churches, just a fantastic square. And in the area I'm talking about staying, this is, by the way, this is the Pantheon. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But the area I'm talking about staying is in this neighborhood right over here. Okay, in this area, if you like cobblestone streets, narrow streets, super picturesque, lots of restaurants, all kinds of little boutique shops, fun alleyways, just a fun place to get lost in. This is an ideal location. Now, it is kind of crowded sometimes, but it's also a large enough area where you still can find some unique restaurants and things in the areas that, you know, aren't overly crowded. But again, it is a high rent district, so a lot of the apartments have been turned into Airbnbs, unfortunately. So, but, you know, it is very clean, very little graffiti in the area. And as we back out of here, you can see it is very close actually to this. Here is the Castel Sant'Angelo. It's not very far at all. Come across the way, you've got Campo de Fiori, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But one thing I want to point out is this main road. This is where you're going to get the public transportation. Buses down here are heading either towards the Vatican or they're heading towards Termini train station, Capitol Hill, stuff like that. There is no metro nearby. So that's the disadvantage of this area. It's not connected with a metro. They are building a station right down here, by the way. I think it's right in this square here. They're putting in a metro station and it's going to be under construction. I think sometime later this year or next year. It'll probably take them a few years to finish it. Right now, it's not going to help you much, but I just thought I'd mention that. The area of Navona is an awesome place to stay if you're undecided and you want a good combination of sites all around you, a lot of, you know, charming buildings and lots of places to eat. Well, this place would be ideal for you. Our next area is actually very close to the Piazza Navona area. It's just across this major road here, the area of Campo de Fiori. Campo de Fiori, if you look down here, these white covered area, this is the main, you know, open market that's every day of the year from about 6 in the morning till 6 at night, just basically all day long. There's a market going here. It's kind of a touristy market. It's the oldest running market in Rome. But when I talk about staying in this area, I'm not talking about staying in that square because that square is pretty noisy all day long, all night long. I would stay this area up in this end. Some people call this the Ponte area. Well, it's known as the Ponte area, not some people call it that. I still consider it kind of the Campo de Fiori area, but up in this end here, the streets are beautiful. There's some really nice squares in here, a lot of nice restaurants, fun streets to walk down. It's just beautiful. It's very similar to the area just across the way. you know, very picturesque, just a beautiful and fairly quiet area. But again, most of the Italians have moved out and they've turned their homes into Airbnbs. So there are a lot of hotels and Airbnbs in this area here. The other part of Campo de Fiori, which is more the Campo de Fiori, is this area down here on this end. This end here is also fairly quiet, lots of little shops and stuff. But what makes this end a little nicer for me is just the proximity, depending on what you want to be near. Number one, it's very close to Largo Argentina. This is a hub for buses. Super easy to find buses anywhere you want to go in the city. They come by there's a bus in this square all the time, taking people either towards the Vatican, towards Termini or Colosseum or wherever you want to go. Another thing is it's super close to the Trastevere neighborhood, which is down here. A great nightlife, great place to go get, you know, lunch, dinner, just hang out. So being over here just makes it easy. You walk across a pedestrian bridge. There you end up at Piazza Trilussa, and from there you can enter into the Trastevere neighborhood down here, making it super convenient. And I love Trastevere. If you don't want to stay in Trastevere, you just want to enjoy it in the evenings, then yeah, staying in Campo de Fiori is perfect. And then another thing I would say is it's very central to so many things. Let me show you on another map. Okay, here's the other map I'm talking about. Again, as you see, it's kind of like a hub with all those spokes heading out. So many things are so close, making this area and the next couple of areas we're going to talk about super, super convenient as far as getting around on foot, making it an ideal location. Now we're into the top three. Number 3 is the area of Monti. Monti is a fantastic area. Here is the Termini metro or train station right here. Just south is the Colosseum. Well, this neighborhood that's right up here, this is the Monti neighborhood. It's walkable from Termini train station, but there is a metro there you can hop on, and just one stop takes you to the Cavour stop. 2 stops takes you here down to the Colosseum. So what's really nice about being in the Monti area is there is a metro, and not just one stop. You have 2 stops in the Monti area to hop on, access the rest of the city. And you can also hop on Rome's new line, the C line, from the Monti neighborhood right here at the metro or the Colosseum station. There is the C line. So that makes it very convenient. Now, if you look at Monti, Monti is not as walkable. It's still fairly walkable. It's down here. You can see most of the sites are going to be here to the west and up here to the north, and all the way to Piazza del Popolo. It's quite a walk. You know, it's going to take you half an hour or so to walk up there, but many sites are within 10 to 20 minutes of the Monti neighborhood. But what is really nice about being in the Monti neighborhood is it is very close to the Colosseum. Super close to the Roman Forum. Which is right here. You've got Via of the Imperial Forums that runs from here up to Capitoline Hill, which is a lot of fun to do. There's so much to see and do right around Capitol Hill. There's the Campidoglio. There's the Victor Emmanuel Monument. And so many other things. Down in the Monti neighborhood, you've got La Basilica di San Pietro in Vincolo that has the Moses that was done by Michelangelo. There's parks around here. It's just a really nice area. Now, the cons of the Monti area are this. Sometimes it can be fairly crowded, and in general, this is in general, there are better places for food and restaurants. There are a lot of good places in the Monti neighborhood, but I found that they're not as good as some of the other areas from at least my experience. I've had some great sandwiches and pizza and food in the area, but overall, I felt like that was kind of a little bit of a letdown for the area. Otherwise, it is a fantastic area, and accessibility, considering walking and considering the metro, and then also buses, it just makes it ideal for getting around the city of Rome. Monti, if you end up staying there, you're going to have a great time. This next area is honestly one of my favorite places to stay at when I'm in Rome. I end up staying here, honestly, more than my #1 pick. A lot of times that's because it's a little bit less expensive than my #1 pick, and it is the area of Trastevere. Now we're going to talk about one of my favorite neighborhoods called Trastevere. Trastevere is located just across the Tiber River. This running through here, this is the Tiber River. The historic area of Rome is right down here. This square here that you see right here, this is Piazza Navona. I'll zoom it up a little bit. That's Piazza Navona there. This round thing with the little hole on top, that is the Pantheon. And then you have the Jewish quarter down here, Largo Argentina, the Vatican City right up here. Well, right across the river is Trastevere. That's this area right here. This whole area here is part of Trastevere. Now, if you're staying in Trastevere, I recommend staying somewhat close to the Tiber River so it's easy to access the historic area of Rome. This is one of the few authentic neighborhoods that's also walkable. It's very walkable into this historic area of Rome. Now, I would say as far as authenticity goes, it's certainly one of the Rome's oldest neighborhoods, but because it is so close to the historic area, there still are quite a few tourists in the area. I'd say it's about a 60% authentic Roman life and about 40% tourists. Maybe too many for some people, but it's kind of a good mix because it is very traditional. It does have a lot of Romans living in the area. There are a lot of tourists as well, but that also, invites a lot of restaurants and things like that. And Trastevere is known for the great food at a more reasonable price compared to the historic area over here in Rome. So Trastevere makes a great home base in my opinion. Now in Trastevere, there's quite a bit of graffiti. It kind of works. I mean, if you're really opposed to graffiti and that kind of turns you off, then this may not be your area. But there's kind of two areas of Trastevere I want to talk about. There's this old area. This is where Piazza Santa Maria in Trastevere is right there. The church is there. Now this area here, and right across this bridge, by the way, there's a nice pedestrian bridge. There's a little place called Piazza Trilussa. And there's lots of street performers there. Now they've kind of cut down on the noise at the end of 2025. They no longer allow like amplifiers in the square to perform. So it's not as lively as it used to be. So, great for those that are staying close by. You probably can sleep a lot better. Before there were parties going on there till 1, 2 in the morning every day. But now it's calmed down a bit. But one thing I do want to point out, this area here is pretty dense with people and activities, and there are bars and different things going till quite late at night. But if you jump across this main road here into this section of Trastevere, it's far quieter, a little more peaceful. Still a lot of nice shops and restaurants over here as well. Just a little quieter, still easy to access this central area. But yeah, it's your choice. But I just wanted to kind of bring that up. This is the main road that we talked about earlier from Monteverdi. You can hop on an 8 tram from here. It'll take you right into the city center, right here to the Largo Argentina and over to Capitoline Hill over here. So you can easily hop on that, but again, walking to these sites, I'm going to show you a little visual to kind of help you. This is the area here in another map, but this kind of gives you an idea. This is Trastevere here. So out here to the Vatican, it's about a 15-minute walk, maybe 20 at the most, probably closer to 15. So you kind of get an idea. Within 15 minutes, if you take this around a little circumference, most of the sites are going to be within about a 15-minute walk. So Trastevere is a lively neighborhood. It's enough authentic that it's still a lot of fun, but it's also close enough to the historic area of Rome that makes it a great choice even for those that just want to go on foot, don't want to worry about taxis, don't want to worry about buses. Now the downside to Trastevere is there is no metro nearby. The closest metro is over here. Well, there's two of them that are kind of, well, they're not either one's not all that close. The closest one is down here on this end of Circus Maximus. It's depending on where you're staying in Trastevere. If you're on this end, it's probably a 10-minute walk, but over here, it's probably more like 15 to 20 minutes to the to the metro station, or you can walk all the way up here to the Spanish Steps, and there's a metro station there that's on the A line. This is A line, down here's the B line. So it's about a 15 to 20 minute walk to the nearest metro station, that being the biggest downside of Trastevere, but if you intend to walk most places, you're gonna love it. While you're in Trastevere, there are a few things I want to point out. We're now looking at Trastevere from the opposite direction. We're looking from the historic area across the river to Trastevere. This here is the Trastevere area. Well, right up here, there is a cool fountain called La Fontana dell'Acqua Paola. From La Fontana dell'Acqua Paola, just up the road, there's a really cool square called La Piazza di Giuseppe Garibaldi, and from here you get great views of the city of Rome. And every day at noon they do fire a cannon. It's a tradition that started in 1847. Originally it was done to synchronize all the bells in the churches, but today it's a tradition you can participate in. Again, every day at noon they fire the cannon.
3, 2, 1, per Santa Barbara, fuoco!
By now you should be pretty familiar with Rome after looking at all of these maps. I'm going to zoom in to what I consider the best area to base from when in Rome. It is right down here. Here we go, into Largo Argentina. Why Largo Argentina? I consider it the hub, especially if you're going to walk. Everything is so close. Now when I'm talking about staying in the square, I'm not talking about staying right in the square. I'm talking about staying, you know, within a 5-minute walk or so of this square. And that would include this whole area, all the way out to the Pantheon, which is right here, to the edge of the Piazza Navona, down into the Campo de Fiori area, over to the Jewish Quarter area, even up here closer towards the Victor Emmanuel Monument. This whole circle here is an ideal area to stay when you're in Rome. Why do I like it so much? Let me show you on another map. I find everything that you came to see, especially if you're coming for your first time, is going to be 90% of it is within a 10-minute walking of Largo Argentina. So much, so close. And for those things that aren't very close, let me go back to this other map. You can go right into this square, and there are buses coming and going from here, heading in every direction, whether you want to see the Colosseum, you want to head back to Termini train station, to the Vatican. There's a bus coming through here every 3, 4, 5 minutes, making it super, super convenient. Also, what I love about being in the Campo de Fiori area, I personally love going down to the Trastevere area frequently. I go down here many evenings, grab dinner, just walk around. There's shops, there's, you know, street food. There's lots of fun things to basically to eat. I don't know, you know, even things to see and do too. But down in the Trastevere area, if I'm not staying down here, I like being close. So if I'm up in this area, it's less than a 10-minute walk for me to head down to the Trastevere area. So the only real negative for being in the area is that there is no metro station. So you're going to be reliant on taxis, buses, or your foot. But the great thing, especially if you're a first-time visitor to Rome, you don't have time really to learn the buses, to learn which bus to hop on to go where. It's just so much easier to walk, and being down in this area will allow you to do that. If you have 3 or 4 days, yeah, you can ask around and figure out what buses to take for certain things, but for the most part, you can just walk, using your time, not getting lost, but just heading on your feet to where you want to go. So much, so close. And if you ever do need to head home for one reason or another, you forgot something, need to use the restroom, so easy to head back to your apartment or hotel or Airbnb, whatever. You've got everything at your fingertips right there from Largo Argentina. That's why I think it is the ideal place to stay in Rome, especially for those visiting for the first time. It's just ideal. I really hope this video has been helpful, and now you kind of have a good idea of where you'd like to stay in Rome. But I will give you a couple of suggestions. If it's your first time to Rome, the areas I would recommend are Largo Argentina, Campo de Fiori area, the area we just talked about. Even up at Piazza Navona is really great for first-time visitors, as well as the Monti area. All three of those are ideal for first-time visitors. If you've been to Rome many times and you haven't tried the Trastevere area, I recommend you give that a try. If you're looking for something a little bit more upscale and clean, I'd recommend the areas of Ludovisi, Spanish Steps, and Piazza del Popolo. If you're going to be heading to Rome in the next 1, 2, or 3 years, be sure to check out our Rome travel guide. So far, over 1,000 people have purchased the guide. We have tons of great feedback. So many people have made comments on how helpful the guide has been for them. And first off, I want to share with you a few things about the guide. It's divided into 3 sections. The first section is the Let's Plan. This is just a sample of some of the videos. There are over 20 videos to help you plan before heading to Rome, from booking your hotel, to packing guide, to picking the location, best time to visit, how many days you should spend in Rome. Once you're in Rome, there's a whole other section of around 20 to 25 additional videos. I think there's more than that even, of videos that will help you have a great time in Rome. From grocery shopping to getting a taxi, getting on the metro and bus tickets, getting from the airport to your hotel, day itineraries, lots of day itineraries, walking itineraries, day trips, Rome's top 50 sites. You get the point. There are tons of helpful videos. New videos are being added constantly. And the last section is Let's Eat. This is where we get to share our favorite pasticcerias, our favorite gelaterias, our favorite pizzerias. Let me show you what that's like. This is an interactive map. This is our favorite pizzerias in Rome. And you can here, click the type of pizza you're looking for. There are several styles of pizza in Rome, but let's say you just are over here and you want to click on one. It'll give you a little bit of idea about this one's pizzeria. This is the Napolitan style pizza, but if you want to go there, you just click on the link here to the address and your GPS will guide you to the pizzeria, making it super easy. All of these places we've been to, we know they're fantastic. There's so many other things we get to share with you, but this is just an example here. And the last thing I would say we get a request for is people wanting to know our favorite hotels and Airbnbs. So we created a section, almost all of these we've stayed at, and they're divided up by areas. So let's say you're in the Monti neighborhood and you want to know about these ones here. The ones with stars, we've 100% stayed at, and some of these others as well, but these are like our favorite ones. So if you go to La Dolce Vita, you can click on that, read about it, and if you want to book it, you just click the link for the link down there and it'll take you to their website. You can book it. And in addition to all this, there's a 65+ page PDF that you can download and print off if you want. I'm going to leave a discount code in the description of this video where you can pick this all up for under $30. If you paid attention, you may have noticed I didn't bring up the neighborhood of Testaccio. Testaccio will be featured in another video I'm doing next week about the authentic neighborhoods outside of the city center that you may want to consider. So if that's you, if you fall into that category, be sure to subscribe. That video will be coming out in about 1 week, and I'll put that in the description of this video, as well as at the end of the video, like somewhere around right now.